Reverend David, Jay, thank you so much for your presence here today. Come on up, Reverend David. Would you pray us in, and we'll run from there.
Yeah, so let's all just take a moment wherever we are to settle in, to take a conscious breath, breathing deeply into our heart space. And as we breathe, we allow the breath to remind us that we are ever in the flow of life, that life is living itself in us and through us and as us. And as we come into a conscious awareness of that one life, one power, one presence, we know that we are one in and as that life. We are one with each other. We are one with all humanity. And indeed, we are one with all creation. And in this moment, we celebrate that unity. And as we come together today, in person and virtually, we come together with the intention and the purpose as we hold Unity Church of Hawaii in our hearts. What is in the highest and best for the unfolding of this ministry now and in the future. We come into this place with gratitude for all that has gone before and celebrate this moment. So we become present with and for each other, whether we are in the same space or not. We know that we are together in consciousness. We celebrate this time that we have to come together to share and to experience and to get to know each other. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Oh, I need to be here, don't I?
So what we may need to do, if you can kind of keep an eye on people, if somebody raises a hand in there,
Okay.
and then just let Daniel know to unmute them so that we can hear them in the system. Am I saying this right, Daniel? Okay. And then what I would ask for, if there's a runner that could run around, if somebody could come pick up a mic and be a runner in the sanctuary. And then Cindy or Margie, would one of the two of you like to speak any of the questions that you're getting in from Facebook or other places? Okay, so if the two of you could have a mic and you could signal each other and you can ask a question from there. And Sean, would you be willing to run mics in-house then? Oh, you got to be in the cave. Catherine Bonita. Okay, grab. Super. Okay, so Debbie, if you could hold on to the mic instead of giving it to anybody so that we won't pass anything around in the process. Okay, well, super. Thank you again for being here, for being willing to take questions for us. We love you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you and all. So, questions that people have, do you want to start it off with questions?
Sure, let's start with questions.
Let's do that. Any questions that are present for Reverend David?
Jerry Denton is raising his hand.
Okay.
I have a question from Rachel. And Rachel asks, do you feel your background prepares you for the new life and Ohana in Hawaii?
Thanks for the question, Rachel. My background, does it prepare me for a new life and Ohana, which is community, right? Family in Hawaii. I don't really know exactly how to answer that question. I think my background, I don't know that it prepares me here, but I think that my perspective and my outlook and my consciousness would prepare me to be welcoming and to be welcomed into the Ohana here in Hawaii. I think that I pretty much feel at home wherever I am, or can make my home wherever I am, and learn about the culture here and prepare myself in some ways that maybe I may not be totally prepared for at the moment. I'm not sure exactly what to expect, but if this has been any indication, I'm sure that I will be loving it and loved up and experiencing this community.
Sorry, and also you can go to either YouTube or Facebook and chat. Your questions can be written in the chat. It's super easy, and everybody can hear you on those two platforms. Like
Super.
Easy peasy.
Okay, so feel free to chat on any of the platform that you're in, and we'll be able to monitor those, and then we can read them back into the system. Okay, let's try that. Okay, are there others that you have got now for us? And because I signed off and signed back on, realize that I'm not going to be able to see the chats now on this computer, but I think Cindy does and Margie does. So ask a next question.
All right. Good job, Thomas. You're a rock star.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a question. I have several, but I'll start with one. So Deanna on Facebook asks, Reverend Howard, what drew you to Unity Church of Hawaii? Question one. What are some of the positive aspects of Unity Church of Hawaii? And what are some of the areas of improvement? And how can your skill set help us in these areas? So it's just a layered question. So basically, what drew you here? What do you see that's positive about us? And how can you help us improve, our general skill set? What do you bring into the table?
What drew me here, I'll start with that, was really spirit. I was meditating. I've been feeling this. I shared a little bit about this morning, but feeling something drawing me, something moving in me, something that is wanting to have expression in me, spirit wanting to have some expression, some new expression in me. I've experienced that for a while now. It could be related to COVID, I'm not sure, but something coming through me. So I've been sitting in meditation about that, and it came to me. I heard that the Unity Church of Hawaii was open, and it just came to me to explore that and to apply for that, and my mind immediately went, no, I cannot possibly see how that could happen or how that would really work for me. But it was sort of like one of those things that we sometimes argue with spirit, at least I do, but sometimes those things that are really important won't let you go. And so I listened, and I called Unity Worldwide Ministries and asked them to submit my application, and so here I am. That's the only real answer I have, is that Spirit guided me here. What really excites me about this ministry, one is, let me just briefly say that the energy I feel here is exciting. I want to use the word electric, and I think it is. This morning I felt it in you, and I felt it coming from the platform. I felt it in the music. And I've always had this desire, well, I wouldn't say always, but for a long time have had a desire to have a music team where we do a lot of music at the beginning of the service, and the prayers that you do in the service. The way the service is structured, I appreciate the depth of what you're doing here on many different levels. And so that attracts me here as well. And also knowing that the work that is being done here to develop emotional intelligence and develop your spiritual and social intelligence is also very attractive for someone coming in who coming in as a leader, because it is not the common thing that churches engage in that. At least it has not been my experience that the board, as your board, has been committed to that, and making that an integral part of this ministry, I think speaks well, and really is attractive to me, because it's something that I'm engaged in, something that I want to be a part of, and that they're involved in the integral ministry with Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons, and his model is also appealing to me. In answer to your question about what I see that I could bring, I haven't seen a place of lack. I haven't witnessed a place where I would need to come in and make a huge difference. I would just say that what I believe I bring just because of who I am, is a commitment to self-growth, to growth period, to encouraging a shift of consciousness, to supporting that shift of consciousness, to supporting the work that you're already doing with emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence and the nonviolent communication, which I've been involved in for many years, and so has Jay, been involved in nonviolent communication for many years, and that's a foundational piece. And the work that you're doing with the quantum living process, I think is important. So those kinds of things are things that I would come in and support, I think, in order to. And the other thing I would say, and I would say that I do believe, and I have had some confirmation of this, that I can bring a healing presence, a loving presence to this community, and to help bring that energy here and to encourage that energy here. You have it already. And it's just a part of me helping to bolster that and to encourage that and to support that within this community. So I'm hoping that answered your question. I can talk a lot, so I apologize if that was too long an answer.
Other question you have for us, Cindy, from... Yeah, anything that people, if you can get Jeff.
I noticed on your bio, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I noticed on your bio that you have a connection to secular music, like a Jackson Brown rather than a Charlie Thwaite. And I wondered if, if you came here, would there be some introduction to that kind of musical phenomenon, not necessarily Jackson Brown, but that kind of connection?
I see. Well, of course, I would
You
work.
might need to repeat that one just in case people didn't hear it on, because it's not quite as loud for some.
Okay, he was asking if he saw on my bio that I have some connection to what he termed as secular music with Jackson Brown and some other people that I recorded on my first CD. And he asked if I would want to bring some of that kind of music into the service here. And of course, I would say that the music that I chose to record on my first CD is more from that vein of music, but I chose the music because I liked the music and I liked the message that music conveys, those songs convey. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities in that realm of music that do have very positive messages that would fit well with the unity philosophy and our movement. And I think I would work very closely with Alethea to determine that and to maybe introduce some of that. But I also my style of leadership and management is more collaborative. So I would certainly work with her closely in introducing that if that's what she would want to do as well. But I think there's some wonderful music in that realm that we could certainly use, and we do in my ministry in Denver. We do quite a bit of that kind of music as well.
Cindy, another from...
Let me grab my mic. Hang on, let me get back to that platform. I'm flipping around here. There's a lot going on. Okay. Jean says, I love your blog. How do you incorporate that into ministry? Or perhaps that is something you would do even if you were not a minister. Just kind of a comment. So do you incorporate that into your ministry, I think is the question. And she loves your blog.
Thank you for loving the blog. I appreciate that. It's something that I love to do. I enjoy writing, and I typically will write something almost every week. Sometimes it flows very easily. Sometimes it doesn't always flow that easily, but it's always something that I'm inspired by. Generally, it's something that comes up for me in the moment that I have an opportunity to connect with and think about and integrate at some level. That's what I choose to write about. And I do integrate that in my ministry. Sometimes I will write something that will be an introduction to what I'm going to be talking about that next week, but not always. I do incorporate it into my ministry, and I would want to continue that no matter where I am. I've set myself up for doing that every week as part of our weekly newsletter at Unity Spiritual Center Denver, and I would certainly want to do that because it is enriching, it's connecting for me, it's inspiring for me, and I'm glad that people have enjoyed reading it. So I'm glad you like it.
Beautiful. Other questions that are present here in the sanctuary? Yes, Sandra.
Greetings.
Greetings.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I just have a question about how do you see the teachings of A Course in Miracles fitting in with a Unity ministry, your ministry?
If you didn't hear that, she was asking how I see the teachings of A Course in Miracles fitting in with Unity and this ministry. I've never been an avid student of the Course. I respect the Course, and I refer to the Course sometimes, what I know from the Course. I think it's a very powerful teaching. I know that many Unity churches have A Course in Miracles study groups. The first religious science church I went to was Reverend Dr. Kay Hunter's church in Dallas. And that was what she taught, A Course in Miracles. She taught the Urantia book. She taught many different perspectives. And she incorporated that quite heavily in her teaching. And so I got introduced to it through her. And I attended some of the classes there. But I think that it's an enlightened teaching. I think that there are teachings, channel teachings like that other teachings as well that we could draw from and introduce as part of the ministry here. And I fully support if somebody wants to, or I don't know do you have a study group here? I'm not sure. I would certainly support a study group, A Course in Miracles studies group here at this ministry if it's something that people would like to do and there was a facilitator for it. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks.
Beautiful, thank you. Reverend Margie, I think you've got one from...
Jack Randall posed a question on the Zoom. Will you discuss your visit with us at your home church in Denver? Do you anticipate or do you have concerns about? That's general. Jack, about coming here?
Oh, about
concerns
coming
about
here?
Coming here? Is that right, Jack? What concerns
okay.
do you have coming here?
Oh, about coming here. My decision, I have not yet discussed this with the people at Unity Denver. I have not. I didn't want to really stir up anything there unless I had some idea that we might go even further with this. Some of them may be watching right now. I don't know. So I'm out of the closet now, I guess. In more ways than one, if they happen to be watching today. But I believe my choice would be, that's a very good question. Initially, I would say I would choose not to unless we go further than this weekend. However, I am willing to reconsider that and give that some more thought because I want to be respectful of them. I want to be respectful of the people there, the board there, and I know that Unity in some ways is a very small community, and I know that things can get back, and I would want to say to them, yes, it's something that Spirit spoke to me. I made the decision to apply. I made the decision as this ministry seemed to have some interest in talking with me. I made the decision to go out there, and that is now up to Spirit. So thank you for the question. It's really inviting me into a deeper contemplation of my response to that and how I want to be in integrity and live from that place. My concern about moving here, being here, would be just getting accustomed to the culture, getting accustomed to I think what I perceive as a little more laid back in many ways. What is this? Shaka. sort of a way of life, hanging loose in some ways, which I would probably ultimately really enjoy. That's sort of my speed anyway. I like to be a little more contemplative and live my life on a sort of in that way. I have some concern. I have told others about that. Jay and I live in a manse now that is owned by the church there in Denver, and it is right next door to the church property. And it is a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house that we live in. And we pretty much live in the space. And just looking at what might be feasible here, I don't think we would have a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house. But again, I think that there's something there's something calling me, and Jay and I will have to talk deeply about this. There's something calling me, and has been calling for a while, to a little more simplicity in life, a little more simple lifestyle, and sort of being willing to, again, it's sort of being willing to let go and divest myself of some of the trappings that I have allowed to become so important in my life. And again, am I willing to do that? There is a willingness. I think in 12 steps we talk about being willing to be willing. And so I think there's a willingness to do that. I shared with someone, I don't mean to go into another long talk, but I'll say this about that. I shared with someone yesterday that I've been reading a book called The New Monasticism. And it is a powerful work, and it's a book about inviting us, all of us, into not living in a monastery or something like that, but to embrace the consciousness of monastic life in every aspect of our lives, in everywhere we live and what we do, and living that deep connection with spirit and the deep connection with the land, with the nature, with the water, and living more from that place. And it speaks to me in a deep way, and I want to maybe explore that a little bit. So long answer to a very short question, so thank you.
Yes, Cindy.
From online through Facebook, Brooks Goddard, and you spoke to this a little bit, but maybe you can just one more time go over it. Says, Reverend David, you have a beautiful singing voice. Do you envision yourself contributing to the music ministry at Unity Church of Hawaii?
Oh, thank you for that.
Amen to that.
Thank you. Music has always been very important to me, and I do enjoy singing. I enjoy the energy of that. I enjoy being in the flow of music because it requires the breath and the tone, and it's just such a beautiful expression of spirit for me. And I would love to be involved in the music ministry here. Again, you have some wonderful musicians here, and Alethea is incredible, as you all know. And the singers that you have, and Ralph and Dawn and Zamar, are excellent. And so I would want to maybe see how I could fit in with that, or augment that, or contribute to that in some way, if possible, sure. And somebody asked me the other day if I would support us having a choir again, and I said yes, because I think that's important as well. I think contributing to choirs create their own little community, their own spirit group, so to speak, as has been my experience. So I would definitely encourage that when the time is right for choir here again.
Beautiful. Other questions that are present here in the sanctuary? Yes, please.
Don't let him ask a question. No, I'm just kidding.
Just to clarify, I'm not a member of this church at the moment, mostly because of the pandemic, and the church has been closed down since we've moved here. But I do have a question referring to where you see millennials fit in with the church. I believe that millennials have an incredible impact on church in general. Mm-hmm. The question is, are they going to impact it as we all transition out? Will the millennials be here? How can we how can anyone attract them now?
Right. He was asking about attracting millennials, and I wish I had the answer for that. What comes to me about that, and what I've heard from videos I've watched, other speakers. There was a great speaker who was I apologize, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, who spoke at the Unity People's Conference. It was all virtual this year, so some of you may have participated in that. He said to us in his keynote that if we're not marketing directly to the demographic that we want to attract, then we are dying, that we will die. And that we need to, all of the churches need to be very cognizant of the social media platforms that millennials are accessing. Where are they communicating? And what are they interested in? What are they talking about? And that I think that my experience has been that in Unity, sometimes we don't, I want to be careful how I say this, but my experience has been in Unity that we shy away from the social justice issues, or we shy away from the social issues sometimes that are impacting the lives of millennials and the younger generations. And I think that they see us somehow as hypocrites in a way, or that we're not relevant to them. And I think it's a fine line that we have to walk. But I think that we need to find a way to speak to them and help them come to those everyday experiences in the world that we all have from a grounded and centered space. So I think we need to look at how we're doing that and if we're doing that, and focus on how we might do that better. I also think that I've said this before as well, that very often I think we have this term called youth and family ministry, but it's usually about youth ministry, that we're not necessarily focusing on family ministry. And I think we also need to be very clear about the programs, the classes, the things that we're offering to families, because millennials, they do have families. And some of them have older parents who they're having to take care of. And so can we help them? Can we meet them where they are and help them meet their needs for parenting or reparenting or being parents to their own parents who are aging? And how do we help them with that? How do we meet them? I think that I'm getting on a soapbox now, so I will stop. But
Perfect.
I think too often we are too focused on how we can get them here. And I believe that we need to focus on how we reach them where they are, first of all. And I believe that if we do that, we will bring them in. And I don't know exactly how to do that. But I think, that we need to be very clear about our intention, and then set some very clear goals and action steps to achieve that intention. But I think it's going to be, I was talking with Jerry the other day, and he told me that he's still in touch with quite a few of the YOUers who have aged out of the program and are not a part of this ministry. And I said, why don't we get a Zoom call together, or talk to them, talk to what they're interested in, what do they think we need to do, because those of us in my generation may not know that. So educate ourselves, first of all. Anyway, I'm talking a lot.
No, perfect. Thank you. Margie, I think you had...
I have a question, Reverend David. I appreciated the depth of your message today and how heart-touching it was. How do you see the Bible as a source for teachings that support unity principles?
How do I see the Bible as a source? One of the things I have loved immediately about unity when I first began taking SEE classes, one of the first classes I took actually was metaphysical Bible interpretation with Reverend Paul Hasselbeck, of all people, if any of you know Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. Great teacher. I fell in love with metaphysical Bible interpretation, and having been raised in a very traditional Christian tradition, I was raised pretty much in the Baptist tradition, and I was, that whole Bible to me was about don't do this, you're going to go to hell if you do that, you're going to go to heaven if you do that. It's all about morality and all of those things that we should or shouldn't do, or should be or shouldn't be. And when I discovered, or metaphysical Bible interpretation discovered me or revealed itself to me, I began to see the Bible in a totally different light. And I love metaphysical Bible interpretation. I love having those stories, and I love using the depth of those, going deep with those stories. You can go so deep with those stories that I love that, and so I see it as a great resource. I see it as a great resource for us.
Beautiful. Anything, Cindy?
All right, Jean asks, can you tell us more, Reverend David, about your religious science background and or experience?
Sure, she asked about my religious science background. Well, to tell a little bit of that history, I was in the church, as I said, raised in the church, sort of. I got out of the church. I stayed out of the church for many years after I came to terms with my own sexuality and knew that I was not welcomed in the Baptist church. So I stayed out of church for quite a while, many years, and in my, trying to think when it was, 1994, I know when it was, I didn't have to think about that, I began participating in a 12-step recovery group, and I was in search of a God of my understanding to whom I was willing to turn my will and my life over. And that was not in the Baptist tradition. So I went in search of that, and I went to a Unity church, first of all. And there I discovered that God, that idea of God. And so it helped me immensely in that process through the 12-step program. Well, then, as it happens sometimes, I fell in love. Not with Jay at the time. It was someone else who was then attending a religious science church. So, needless to say, I started going to a religious science church at that time, which was great. I loved it. It was so similar to Unity. And I loved the minister there, and I loved the community there. And I began taking classes. The classes there, the foundations class, I think it was that time called Roots. I'm not sure what it's called now. And in fact, that's where Jay and I met, was in that Roots class in Science of Mind. And I took classes in Science of Mind up until I would have gone into the training, PRAC 1, I think is what it was called at the time, PRAC 1. And I did not go there for various reasons. But I took all the classes up until that. And then the minister, one of the co-ministers and I decided that we wanted to create another church. We wanted to form our own church, so which we did. And that sort of took me out of the mainstream of religious science, although it was new thought. And then several years later, after that shut down, that no longer was working, David decided that David was going to be a religious science minister. That was what I was going to do. So I contacted the National Organization of Religious Science. I don't think it wasn't Centers for, maybe it was Centers for Spiritual Living at the time, I don't remember, to find out what I would need to do that. And they told me, well, you've had all these classes, but it's been so long, you'll need to go back and take the Roots class again before you go into the PRAC classes, which I did. I went through that class, and it was at the end of that class that I envisioned my ministry. I even drew out a chart of this ministry. Well, it wasn't much longer after that when I was invited to come and speak at a Unity Church of Arlington in Arlington, Texas. And the rest is history. I eventually, over the course of a few months, became their spiritual leader with having no real unity background. So it was a God thing there. I became their spiritual leader, and I was there for quite a while. But anyway, that's beyond my experience with the science of mind and religious science. But that's the background. And I still love the spiritual mind treatment practice. And I've done classes on how the spiritual mind treatment practice and the unity affirmative prayer model work together. And so I still enjoy that quite a bit.
Beautiful, thank you. Other questions that are here in the sanctuary? Yes, Doris, and then Leslie.
Hi. It's a good idea, too, not to hand the microphone. So I just want to say that I would be excited for you to come because of the energy you and Jay both bring.
Thank you.
Your music, just everything. And then it would be great to have a metaphysical Bible study. I would love that. And then also for your community in Denver, it's a great reason then if you guys move here to come and visit Hawaii because we're a great group of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're great tour guides, we're very hospitable. So that's just a bonus, just wanted to say that. So.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, you're right, it's a great group of people.
Leslie.
Hello. I also really enjoyed meeting you today. You're wonderful. My question is, do you envision teaching a lot of spiritual classes across various disciplines? And would you be interested in teaching meditation? My real question is, besides Sunday services, will you be running classes?
Mm-hmm. She was asking, besides Sunday services, would I be teaching classes? Or did you say, would I teach meditation? I have taught meditation in the past. I don't consider myself the most advanced teacher of meditation. I like facilitating meditation, and I would certainly consider that, although I would also consider bringing in someone who is an advanced meditation teacher if that would be something that the community would want. I do envision myself being a part of the education piece here at this ministry and teaching classes. I've taught many of the SEE classes, the Unity SEE classes. I also have designed some of my own workshops and classes that I would teach. I'm designing now a class, hopefully, if Spirit will help me continue to download it, that is a combination of the mastermind process and the 12 powers, using those together in manifesting. So that's something that I'm interested in. So, and that you already have some great teachers here and quite a few licensed teachers here who also are you a licensed teacher? Great. Well, thank you. It's good to meet you, and thank you for doing that. So, yeah, I think that what I'd love to do is to get all of us together and decide, what do we want to teach? What are we inspired about? What are we passionate about teaching? And really create a plan for that.
We have another question. We're going to take two more questions. So, Margie, you want to ask that one?
Yeah. Sally Hartman, who's on the Zoom channel, picked up your comment about the manse in Denver. That's where you and Jay live. Mm-hmm. And she wonders if that suggests your church community in Denver has substantial resources. And is that true, or is it also a community that might be facing financial challenges? Following that, are you aware that we are facing some financial challenges in this year and a half of pandemic having an effect? Mm-hmm. It would seem. And are you comfortable with dealing with such issues and helping to find solutions?
Okay.
Just a small question.
Multi-layered question. Yeah, but thank you. Sally, right, asked the question. I would say that at some points in the past, Unity Spiritual Center Denver has had substantial resources. They used to own quite a bit of property around that area. They still own the house that we live in, which is adjacent to the church property. They owned a couple of other houses, properties there around the facility that they have sold off in order to do some renovations and some remodeling and things like that. They are blessed, we are blessed to have several fairly wealthy and generous congregants who give annually to support the ministry in that way. But I would not say that the church has substantial financial resources. We do have some money in the bank that we draw from and use as we need, but it's not a large amount. And I know that you here have an endowment fund. We do not have an endowment fund. We have had our own financial challenges, opportunities, maybe is a better word. I was going to say surprisingly, we were blessed in 2020 to have, thank you, Spirit, we had one of our best years financially than we've ever had, which was a bit surprising because of COVID, but people continued to support. I would say that this year we have not been as fortunate. We are not in that great situation at this point. So we are also, as many churches are, experiencing financial opportunities. So what I believe about that is that it is all consciousness, that we, as we build consciousness, as we build our prosperity consciousness, and however we do that, that will turn things around for us and for you. I also believe that people generally will support a vision, a mission that they take ownership of. And I think we have to have a very clearly defined and expressed plan, strategic plan that supports the mission of the ministry, and invite people into that and invite people to take ownership of that, because it is your ministry. It's your church. It's not the board's church. It wouldn't be my church or whoever your next senior minister, spiritual leader is. We're here to help to bring forth that, to midwife that, so to speak, and to support all of us in bringing that into manifestation. So it requires a commitment of all of the membership to be sure that this vision comes into fruition. So I just believe, I'm repeating myself, but let me just say clearly that it is about having a very clearly defined vision that certainly can be organic and change, but to know what we're going, what we want to do, who we are, what we are about, and inviting people into supporting that mission and vision.
Beautiful. Thank you. Other questions that are here in the sanctuary? Catherine has one.
I just want to make sure before we're through, did everybody here get a survey to fill out? Okay, so if you did, if you didn't, there's still surveys. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions that are present here in the sanctuary? Seeing none. Cindy, how are you doing?
I'm clear.
Everything is clear from there. And Margie, do you?
I have another one in the Zoom room. Jack Randall would like to know, how much fun would you expect to experience at this church? Or do you see us as too serious?
Thank you for the question, Jack. I mean, I love the energy here. I love that you have fun together. I love that you enjoy upbeat music and get up and clap and dance and sing. I love the joy that I feel here. I feel that I can relate and be a part of that, and I just love your energy, and I don't think you're too serious at all. So maybe you could inspire more of that in me as well, right? So thank you, Jack, for that.
The wild and crazy David.
Yeah!
Giddy up. Oh, that sounds great. Catherine?
I have one answer to the question of what you would bring that I experienced today. And I saw you bringing us a greater realization of the Christ within us. I truly saw that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Catherine. I
That's very
appreciate
true.
that.
Very true. The
Thank you.
Christ within for all of us.
Thanks.
Well, seeing no more questions here in the sanctuary and none from Facebook, YouTube, or from the chat, we just want to say thank you from the board, from the congregation, from Hawaii itself, and from the world for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And Jay, and thank you for inviting us.
And Jay, very same feeling is present for you. I've had so many comments of people coming up and saying, what a soulful person the both of you are, and how
Thank
much
you.
they appreciate and love you
Thank
both.
you.
So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so there's two things. Number one, which should we do first? For him to close us and then bless him, or bless and then? Okay, so we would like to stand and bless you. And Jay, would you come up as well? So we will say Reverend David and Jay. Reverend David and Jay, we bless you, we appreciate you, we love you, and we behold the Christ in you.
Thank you very much. So much. And I
and
just
then
want
if
to
you're
say to
close.
all of you, well, thank you. Really, mahalo, is that how you say it? Mahalo. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here, to experience your love and your care, and you've taken really good care of us while we've been here. We have been blessed by all of you, and I want to say to you, I support and congratulate the leadership here in the work that you all are doing, and I know that you feel it. I know that you experience it, and so I just encourage you all of you who are here, all of you who are here virtually, to do what you can to truly support this ministry, because this ministry, I can feel, is moving forward. This ministry is in its, sort of in this space of birthing something that's going to be even more amazing than you have yet to experience. And so whatever you can do individually and collectively to support that, I just encourage you to do that. So thank you again for us being here. And so as we take that in, I invite us to breathe into our hearts. Breathe into that space where you know that you are that Christ expressing in this moment. And as you breathe into that, feel that awareness rising up from your heart, expanding in your heart, rising up to fill your mind with this inspiration, the energy of the Christ that you are. Feel that Christ energy radiating through every cell of your body. Know that you, in this moment, are the body of Christ. The body of the Christ expressing right here and right now. And go forth from this place or wherever you are with a renewed commitment to be that best Christ you can be in the world through every thought, every word, every action, as we bring forth together the kingdom of God upon this plane of earth. And we celebrate and we allow it to be as it is, and so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank those that are online with us. Blessings and mahalo.